Hi folks, this is Vicky from patternprincess.com. Thank you for joining me. Today I wanted to show you how I work this really pretty wrap. This wrap here consists of just right across rows from puff stitches and single crochets, and I just wanted to show you how to work those. I'll tell you a little bit about the yarn used. You know how you get these little puffs of yarn that have usually the wrapper is around it like this, okay? So I had seen these in a store and I thought, oh my gosh, they're just so pretty. And the colors are, this is a pink and then there's a gray. And the color is actually this is a pink lemonade, and then the gray is actually called linen. And this wrap here is, and I don't know if it's really going to be a wrap, a shawl, a poncho. I'm thinking about adding some buttons to it so that we can actually wear it as a poncho. I'm still figuring out the pattern here, but I wanted to at least show you the stitches to the rows. If I add anything under the border, I'll show you more of that as well, but I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do because I'm in the middle of it yet. But anyways, so I've used so far 2 skeins of each color. And this yarn I got, it's soft and sleek, DK low pill fiber, and I got it from Hobby Lobby. It's Yarn B, and it was $4.99. This one here that's what I paid for this one. So it's a really pretty pattern so far, and I'm using an Odyssey Furls hook, a size H. This is working up really nice with this. So, and I just worked it across in rows. 10 rows of single crochet, and then the puff stitch, and then 10 rows of single crochet, and I've done 2 sections of each color, so that's pretty easy so far. And I'm going to show you just to make sure that you know how to do the stitches here. I'm just going to keep going with my gray, and I'm just about done with the row right here. So I'm going to end this row of the puff stitches and show you how this is done. It's really very simple, and I wanted to make sure that I did the puff stitch row and then the row after, because sometimes it could be confusing because the stitches can look confusing, and I don't want you to add in extra stitches when you do the single crochet row after this. So we just done a puff stitch, and we did a single crochet right after that, which finishes off the puff stitch. So now I'm going to chain 1, then yarn over. I'm going to skip 1. In this next stitch right here, I'm going to do a puff stitch. So I've yarned over, I'm going to insert my hook, bring it through, yarn over, bring it through. That's 1. I do this 3 more times. 2, 3, 4, and then, whoop, I got to count. So I have my, I'm going to count for you. So I have my 1 loop on here. I have 1, 2, I'm going to spread these out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 of these loops and 1 here. So you should have 9 loops on your hook, okay? Then we're going to yarn over and pull through all of those loops, including this one. Then yarn over, pull through 1 more, and that completes that one little last part there, completes that puff stitch. And then we're gonna single crochet, skip 1, and then do the same puff stitch. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, yarn over, bring it through all of the loops, and yarn over, bring it through 1 more loop. 1 chain stitch, just a couple more. Now when you do puff stitches, this happens to be 4. Some patterns will call for more loops on your yarn. Other ones will call for a little bit less. It depends on how puffy you want your stitch. So just know that the 4 loops on the hook is not the only way to go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, bring it through all of them, and a yarn over and through the loop, and another chain stitch and a skip, and we're almost to the end. 1, 2, 3, get more yarn, 4, yarn over, come through all the loops, and sometimes you got to kind of slowly work it through and just kind of watch where your hook is going. It's okay. And I did my chain 1, and now we're down to my last 2 stitches. So we skipped this one yet, and then this is the last stitch area. And the reason I say stitch area is because when I did my single crochet stitches, I started off with a chain 2 and then I single crochet right in the same spot. So what that does is gives me a really nice spot to put my last stitch of the row, and I do a double crochet. That's my last stitch of this row. So then it looks a really nice straight border. You see how nice that border looks? Okay, so now I'm going to turn it, and then I want to make sure that you can tell here so that you don't so as I write the pattern, I don't want folks to like not be able to count the stitches correctly and add extra stitches, because I think here it could be easy to do in this row here. The other is single crochet stitch rows that are pretty straightforward. So what I do is I do a chain 2, 1, 2, and then I'm going to single crochet, I shouldn't yarn over, single crochet right in the same spot. Okay, that's your first stitch. My next stitch is going to be in this chain 1 space. So I single crochet there, because I'm going to do a single crochet in each stitch across. Now, remember when we did our, here's where it could get confusing, because you want to do a stitch on top of the puff stitch. I generally go right here for my single crochet. However, remember when we did the puff stitch, we did that extra like loop single crochet just to close it off. This technically right here is your stitch from the puff stitch, but to me it's off a little bit. Then here's the chain 1. So what I do is I go on right on top of the puff stitch right here. I'm going to bring that up close. Right here is where I do that puff stitch, or I should say the single crochet on top of the puff stitch. And then I just chain, I just consider this whole area then as a chain space, and I just single crochet. So again, this spot here is where I do my single crochet on top of the puff stitch, and then I just go to the space and single crochet. That way you're making sure that you're still just doing 2 single crochets for each puff stitch, 1 on top and 1 in the chain space. That way all of your counting will come out right. And then when you get to the other end, you just continue, you just stop with a single crochet, and then we would turn, and then we would do our chain 2 and single crochet right in that same spot. So this is how this looks. And then as you do color changes, we get one here where I did a color change. You can see it's very visible here to see where I did 1 stitch on top and then 1 single crochet here, 1 stitch on top, 1 single crochet here. So make sure you do that. And then of course when you do your single crochet, it's 1 in each stitch. So it's very simple and straightforward. And I will have the written patterns on the website. If I happen to put a border or something on this, I'm going to probably, like I said, add buttons. Not quite sure yet. I'm still in the design mode, but I'll make sure I share all that information with you as well. Thank you very much. Take care. Hi folks, this is Vicky at Pattern Princess again. I wanted to show you the shawl that I was working on. I said I was going to show you if I did a border on it, how I had done that, and this is the video on that. What I decided to do is add 2 rows of single crochet on a contrasting color. This shawl, remember, was the gray and the pink. So on the gray I did 2 rows of single crochet of pink, and then I added a row of bobbles. You could call them little bitty mini pom-poms, but it's just a really cute frilly addition to this. I will show you the other side here where I did the pink and then I added in the gray. Here's the gray side. So I'm going to show you how to work the bobbles. It's really simple to do. I'm going to show you in the yarn that I used on this project, but I'm also going to show you in a little bit thicker yarn so that you might be able to see it better. You might be able to see the stitches just a little bit better. So I've just done a couple rows of single crochet here, just as a base, so I can show you how to do this. But again, this can be used in any thickness of yarn. This just happens to be a very thin, delicate yarn that I've used for the shawl. So the bobbles are going to be a nice small size as well. So with what we do is we start off with 6 chain stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So back into that, we kind of count 1, 2, 3. In the third chain stitch from the hook, we're going to yarn over and we're going to work 5 double crochets in there, but only part of the way double crochets. We're going to do them halfway to create our bobble. So we're going to insert our hook, we've yarned over, and we're going to yarn over again. So there's our 2 loops on our hook from the double crochet plus our initial loop. So we have 3 loops on the hook. I'm going to yarn over and insert and bring my hook through the 2 loops. I now have 2. I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to go back through the third chain again, yarn over, bring my hook through, and now I have 4 loops on the hook, but I'm going to yarn over and bring it through 2. So you're partially crocheting a double crochet. So we've done that twice. We're going to do it 3 more times. Yarn over, go right back into that same stitch, yarn over, bring it through, yarn over, bring it through 2 loops, yarn over, go back through the stitch, yarn over, bring it through, yarn over, go through 2 loops. We now have 4 partially completed double crochets and plus our initial loop on the hook, and we're going to do this 1 more time. Yarn over, go through the stitch, yarn over, bring it through, and then here we go. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 double crochets that have been started plus our initial loop. Now we're going to yarn over and bring our hook all the way through those loops, and then I just yarn over and bring it through that loop 1 more time to close this off. Now to create the little bobble part, because right now it looks kind of funny, right? To create this little bobble part and make this kind of close up and go into a little circle, we're going to put our yarn back through that same stitch we've been working in, except I try and move this yarn right here over and get into the bottom, in between that middle and bottom loop. Bring my yarn through, and we're just going to complete a single crochet right here. Now I'm going to show you the magic that happens. Now it's turned into a little circle. You now have your little bobble completed and made. We're going to do a chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Now down in our stitches, we're working in this beginning stitch here. So now we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 3 stitches away. So we're in the beginning stitches here. So it's 1, 2, 3. So you can either, it's up to you how, I'm going to tell you, it's up to you how far apart you want your stitches. On this one here, I went 1, 2, 3, I skipped over, and then in the 4th one, I put my single crochet. If you wanted it to hang down a little bit more, you could count over 3, and it would hang down a little bit more. It would be a little bit more straight down. You could bring it over 1 more, and it would be closer up to the garment that you're making. So I chose to count 3 and insert my hook in the 4th chain. So here we go, 1, 2, 3, and in the 4th stitch I'm going to do a single crochet, and that completes our first bobble. You see how that we just made that? Now let's do it again. So now we're going to chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and back into that 3rd chain we're going to yarn over, and we're going to complete those 5 partially made double crochets. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 loops on our hook from our partially made double crochets plus that initial loop. So there's 6 total loops, and you yarn over and bring it through. And if you notice, when I'm yarning over and bringing it through, I'm pulling this a little bit taut, and I also turn my hook so that it still has this yarn on that I've yarned over, but I turn my hook a little bit and it nicely slides right through all of those loops. I turn my edge and then I yarn over and come through that loop. That's complete. Now we're going to go back into here again, back into this stitch, and sometimes I have to work on it to get my hook in there, and then do your single crochet, and then we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. And we'll count 1, 2, 3 stitches, and the 4th one we're going to do a single crochet. Okay, so I'm going to bring up a loop here so you can see. So now on this little sample here, we have 2 bobbles already made. And they're very light, and they hang down very, very nice. They don't cause a lot of extra bulk. So this is a nice way to finish this off. So I'm going to do this in a little bit thicker yarn in case it was a little bit hard to see. This is just some scrap yarn that I had, actually from the latte blanket. This here, this yarn. You can also find that pattern on the website. And so here I've just crocheted some single crochets, and we're going to start off with our chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yarn over, go back into that 3rd chain, and then start your double crochet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And with the thicker yarn, it does get a little bit bulky, but that's okay. They'll all squeeze in there. It's amazing how they do. So yarn over, and the same technique. Pull this a little bit taut, turn my hook a little bit, see how I do that? And bring it right through those loops, no problem. Yarn over and go through the one last little loop here that closes it off. And then we're going to go ahead and insert our hook and complete a chain, or a single crochet right there. Now it's made into a ball. And now we're going to chain 3, 2, 3. And down here we're working in this first stitch here. So we're going to skip 1, 2, 3, and in the 4th one we're going to do a single crochet. And so this is how you work this with the larger yarn. Okay? So I just want to make sure that you can see both ways. And again, I'm going to have you look at the pattern here a little bit, and you can see how the border adds a nice little fun look. This pattern will be available on the website. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching.